Look, Iran is weakened in every way by this attack. They're more cut off from people in the region, more cut off internationally, and they have reason to now look at their own offensive capabilities with some concern. So they face their own set of problems. Israel's set of problems, though, is really not so much the technical military aspect of it, which worked quite well over the weekend, but rather how to maintain this alliance structure, this collective security approach that was so profitable for them. And they need to do that while still considering whether or not they're going to strike back at Iran. And I think it's the big question, how, where, and the scope of that potential attack. That's the big question that lies ahead of Israel right now. And they need to think strategically as they come to a conclusion.
Where the U.S. support comes into play, General, is what I'd love to hear you speak to. We're talking about $60 billion plus being invested in hardware for Ukraine. We know that Ukraine has ammunition shortages. We know that every shell at this point matters. Israel's in a very different situation. What does it need that this $14 billion can buy?
Well, I think the main thing Israel's going to need is continued supply of interceptors, all the systems, the defensive systems that we saw employed over the weekend. Because I'll tell you, we fired a lot of air-to-air missiles shooting down those drones.
Yeah, we did.
And we and our partners fired a lot of surface-to-air missiles and anti-ballistic missiles, bringing down those other platforms that were inbound. So they're going to need constant replenishment of that. You know, the good side of the weekend's attack is we successfully defended Israel. The bad side is, frankly, you're on the wrong side of the cost imposition curve. It's easier to build the drones, missiles, and land attack cruise missiles cheaper, I should say, than it is to build the systems that are Israel. So you're on the wrong side of that, but we're going to need to continue it into the future, I think.
Well, okay, so you're saying basically that what all Iran needs to do is do the cheaper thing, whereas it's much more costly for Israel to do what they need to do defensively. So I guess it raises the wider question, General, of how we may need to rethink what it is that deters Iran. Is Iran likely to change its behavior as a result of this attack that, sure, they called successful, but as we know, largely was not, as most of this incoming missile and drone to Israel was intercepted, as you've been talking about. So is Iran likely to be more dangerous now or less dangerous now, I guess, is the question. And then how do you deter that level of danger?
Sure. So let me back up a step and say, why did Iran launch this attack? They launched this attack because over the past many months, they've been consistently outfought by Israel in this shadow war, this dialogue of targets that's gone on, culminating in the 1 April attack on Iranian leaders in Damascus. So I think what Iran felt, they were in a corner, they were on the wrong side of this equation. And so what they try to do is take a page out of the Russian playbook, what we call escalate to de-escalate. Do something profoundly aggressive that makes your opponents rock back on their heels and realize that maybe the game getting too rich for them. Here's the problem, though. Russia uses this because Russia has vast resources, including nuclear capabilities. Iran tried it, but their attempt was found to be hollow. It was unsuccessful. So Iran is in a markedly weaker strategic position today than they were last week because at the bottom line, the most important priority for Iran is preservation of the theocratic regime that runs the country. And they have viewed their ballistic missiles, drones, and land attack cruise missiles as the principal thing that deters others from attacking them. So that capability has now been tested, and it has failed. So Iran's in a very difficult position. Even as Israel faces difficult choices, the harder choices are Iran's because something they viewed as very powerful has been exposed.
General, we'd like to ask you about a couple of things beyond Israel, including your time as commander of U.S. Central Command, in which you helped to oversee the withdrawal from Afghanistan. You testified recently on Capitol Hill about this. I would love for our viewers and listeners to get a sense of what you said, and we'll have you respond on the other side. Let's go back to that hearing on Capitol Hill. Here's the General.
Having a plan is one thing, preparing the plan, vetting the plan, coordinating the plan with the people that are going to actually carry you out, the Department of Defense, that's another set of tasks completely.
Yeah, and that was too little, too late.
It is my judgment that it was far too little, far too late.
Speaking with Chairman McCall there just a couple of weeks ago on Capitol Hill. General, I'm bringing this up because this is going to be an issue on the campaign trail, something that we're covering very closely here as we enter the general election cycle. And I wonder if you agree that Joe Biden should be judged by this.
Well, the president's the commander-in-chief. He makes the ultimate decisions for the military of the United States. He made the ultimate decision to withdraw from Afghanistan, and that decision was executed by us. I believe that part of the decision called for trying to keep an embassy platform in Kabul after we had withdrawn our military forces. And we also chose not to bring out our citizens and at-risk Afghans as we pulled our military forces out. So you get to the middle of August, we predicted the government of Afghanistan's falling. You've got the embassy at risk, you've got our citizens at risk, and you've got these tens of thousands of Afghans that you want to bring out. Unfortunately, you're not positioned to do that. So you have to react, you have to go back in, establish a very tenuous but ultimately effective defense of Hamid Karzai International Airfield and get people out. And that was a difficult, dangerous operation, and it involved a large element of tragedy. 13 brave Americans died trying to conduct that operation, and that weighs very heavily on me, and it will weigh heavily on me for the rest of my life.
Well, I understand that, General, and I appreciate your sharing that. Did you give the president advice that he did not take?
So, as you know, we prefer not to actually talk directly about that. I think my opinion at the time was leaving completely was a mistake, and I've been pretty open about that ever since. My views were heard. A president made a decision, and he is actually the decision maker. He gets to make that call. Mm-hmm. And my opinion then and my opinion now remains the same. We would have been wiser to keep a small residual force in Afghanistan, and I stand by that today.
General, we just have a minute left with you, but Mitch McConnell said on the Senate floor today that the political reality is if you think the fall of Afghanistan was bad, the fall of a European capital city like Kyiv to Russian troops will be unimaginably worse. And I wonder if you agree with that characterization, sir, given what you've already seen.
Well, my position would be that I think the fall of Kyiv would be disastrous for NATO. It would be disastrous for our credibility and the credibility of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and it would probably prompt further aggressive moves from Vladimir Putin.